Hi, I'm Vic Vogel with BadGuyFreeZone.com. I used to be a personal trainer. One of the biggest problems I had working with clients was denial. Not denial of being overweight, stiff, unbalanced, and weak, but denial of what was needed to change the adverse effects of obesity and weak muscles. For many people, it was denial that drove them to avoid solutions that would make them fit and healthy. Why? Because accepting reality meant accepting information and activities they felt they could not achieve and made them feel uncomfortable or feel like failures. In other words, they defeated themselves before they got started. Fueling their denial were false claims by television ads, magazines, and drug companies, all promising quick and easy solutions. Of course, some of these work in the short term, but most people gain their weight back. In America, it is a culture to try the quick and easy fix first, knowing it may not last, but hoping it will. Inevitably, these promised miracles did not work. Eventually, there were those who came around and accepted what they needed to do and discovered the patience that led to long-term fitness and weight loss. However, many did not. And today are still unhealthy, and some dangerously ill. Denial when it comes to your health and what it takes to be fit and healthy can be deadly. Now, let's switch gears to a personal security. Like fitness, I spent many years researching and working on solutions to improve protection. In nearly all situations I've dealt with, I've managed to help people become more secure and safe. Granted, I've helped fewer individuals with security than I did as a personal trainer in fitness. The quantity difference between personal training and protection consulting is because there are a lot fewer people up until 2016 that have that really have had a felt need to question their own security versus their fitness and health. What improving fitness and health and personal protection have in common is denial. The areas of fitness and security both seem to trigger denial impulses automatically. Both of these impulses are triggered because people are required to address issues that make them feel uncomfortable. For fitness, people have to adjust their eating and exercise habits, which require accepting a reduction of the things they find enjoyable, such as, well, let's face it, eating sugar and relaxing versus exercising. Security, on the other hand, is less physical and more emotionally disturbing. People in America have not worried in the past about going to the theater or the mall and fearing for their life. In both these cases, the solution for being physically fit and secure require accepting facts that people do not want to cope with in their lives. This presentation is aimed at improving safety and security of you and your loved ones from a violent attack. More specifically, like I had to do with personal training clients, I want to counsel you on overcoming denial that can be a deadly barrier to your safety and security. I had to recognize that denial relating to fitness was both emotional and physical. Certain aspects of a person's body makeup trigger their need to stop resisting carbohydrates in large quantities. In many cases, the intermingling of emotional and physical factors encouraged denial. Since these were the same in most human bodies, it is a little easier to address and overcome the barriers that caused the denial to physical fitness and health. When it comes to personal security, denial is harder to address and overcome. Resistance to personal protection planning happens because the issues that are causing a person to deny the need for personal security or emotional versus physically driven. Unless a person is attacked violently, then the body reacts to pain. Now, people are less aware of a violent threat because it is not readily known to them before it happens. Whereas an individual who is fit and healthy or not fit and healthy, they're both acutely aware of their situation via the weight measurement or lack of energy. It is the unknown that makes it so easy for people to deny the potential of a violent attack. There's nothing to motivate a person to change their security behavior until they experience an event, say like the Fort Lauderdale airport shooting. You know, but unfortunately, this denial until an event can be a deadly learning experience. A physically weak person may not have both emotional and psychological motivations, making it easier for them to overcome denial issues such as exercising versus relaxing on the couch. Breaking down the personal protection barriers is difficult, particularly for masses who do not experience threat on an ongoing basis. People who live in countries like Israel are highly aware of the potential for a violent attack at any time in any place. If we can get people to understand they are vulnerable to a violent attack in spite of the fact it has never happened to them in the past, we can begin the process of protecting people against violent assaults. Unlike getting fit, which can occur over a period of months, violent attacks happen within a couple of minutes or less. The unknown is why the denial of a personal protection is far more deadly than denial of a fitness or health. A person who wants to become fit is usually aware the one in control of the situation to make themselves healthy. In other words, they know. In a violent attack, the victim is caught by surprise by an attacker and is at a disadvantage at the time of the assault. The victim is often defending themselves during an attack and initially is not in control of the violent crime. To overcome the denial of a personal threat, people need to be educated about violent threats and associate this knowledge with confidence to prevent a violent attack. Through protection education, people can become aware of potential threats and learn how to avoid people, objects or items, and situations or events that have the capability to be a violent threat. When conducting personal training, education plays a critical role in helping a person become healthy. Through education, they learn what it takes to make their body function, how to eat healthier, and how to exercise properly. This knowledge makes them more effective in reaching their goal of being fit. Also, it provides motivation and confidence to achieve their objectives. There are several barriers to people accepting accountability for their personal protection. Most of them center around a long tradition of how we have created security in America. For the most part, citizens have believed it was the responsibility of others to protect them so they could go about their lives. The government has law enforcement positions and private industry contracts with security. These trained professionals are the ones most people hold accountable for protecting them. This system's been efficient at catching someone after a crime, but not very effective at preventing crime. This ineffectiveness is due primarily to the scarcity of law enforcement compared to the population. As we have seen time after time over the last year of 2016, law enforcement was quick to respond, but not fast enough to prevent many tragedies from both terrorists and lone shooters. We have numerous examples. The Pulse nightclub in Orlando, the shooting in San Bernardino, and most recently, the lone shooter in the Fort Lauderdale airport. We can go back to many of these shootings that have occurred over the past 3 to 5 years, and the same scenario is evident. Law enforcement catches a terrorist or shooter, but does not prevent the shooting. Now, to be fair, the FBI and local law enforcement have thwarted a lot of attempts through intelligence and following up on terrorist activities. Preventing these events was successful because of the information and intelligence they attained through solid police work and from people like the average citizen. Unfortunately, they have not been as effective when it comes to individuals attacking masses. For example, in Nice, France, and Belgium, and most recently in Berlin, Sandy Hook, and other school shootings. Also, innocent lives have been lost needlessly because of apathy towards potential violent attacks. Overcoming denial that leads to apathy is the best way to prevent people losing their lives in violent attacks. To be honest, there can never be a 100% guarantee that a personal protection plan can prevent you from being attacked. But you have a higher probability of avoiding and surviving an attack if you have a personal protection plan. Now, most people simply do not want to believe it can happen to them, the deadliest words in the world. They continue to believe this after seeing attack after attack. And it happening, people on the news saying they were so surprised the attack happened to them. Wow. The media's proof, visual proof, is the best evidence that people need to overcome denial and get rid of their apathy towards being a target of a violent attack. They show it constantly on the news. There was an excellent and highly successful general by the name of Sun Tzu who lived in China from 722 to 481 BC. He was so successful in his battles that he was inspired to write a book called The Art of War. Sun Tzu had a quote in his book that aptly describes how people today should think about personal protection, how you should think about personal protection, and about how to protect yourself against violent attacks and others. Here's a quote with some narration from me to some of the points about the need for personal protection. Let's see. The Art of War teaches us to rely not on the likelihood of the enemies not coming, but on our own readiness to receive them. Now, this statement, in today's terms, excuse me, is your need to believe that you need to be ready for an attack and think it will happen at any time or place. Now, the second part of the quote is not on the chance of his not attacking, but rather on the fact that we have made our position unassailable. And this states that you need not only to believe there is someone who has the capability to attack you violently, but you must also believe it is their intent to attack you. Therefore, you should take steps to ensure the attack does not happen, or if it does, that you will prevail because of your advanced preparation. Now, Sun Tzu won many battles without even fighting, and that's because of preparation. Winning battles without fighting was also one of his premises of war. In today's terms, if you understand how a criminal and a terrorist thinks and operates, you can behave in a manner where the criminal or terrorist recognizes you are aware of them and prepared for them. A protection plan may be as simple as being alert to unusual behavior in a mall or a baggage check claim area. For example, a person checking luggage who recognize the only checked luggage is an adequately protected handgun case without any other luggage and having only a one-way ticket, should consider this unusual behavior for a traveler and report it to security. It could mean having a personal protection plan also that helps you determine your viability as a target and altering such things as your travel routes. You could avoid an event because of terrorist warnings that are administered by the State Department, along with inadequate security for the event. Any of these things helps you minimize your exposure as a target to criminals and terrorists. Now, in my book, Creating a Bad Guy Free Zone, How the Average Citizen Can Protect Themselves, and my other book, Creating a Bad Guy Free Zone While You Travel, are books that can help you to operationalize Sun Tzu's advice in the quote above. Overcoming denial when it comes to personal security is closely related to your core value system and the culture you have created for yourself. For example, a strong believing Christian may actively resist the idea of being attacked by his fellow man. Many people live in fear needlessly because of their value system. Others are not fearful when they should be for the same reason. Creating a Bad Guy Free Zone, How the Average Citizen Can Protect Themselves, goes into how your culture can help you understand your reaction to personal protection and the potential of a violent attack. The book goes into how interpersonal communication can help you identify those unusual behaviors of a terrorist or a criminal like a lone shooter. And education about violence in the world today can go a long, long way towards eliminating denial and providing you confidence in your ability to protect yourself. Understanding violent crimes such as violence within your surroundings, how terrorists and criminals think and operate, and how your personal values can affect your personal protection will help you to become unassailable. Also, understanding the difference between suspicious behavior and threatening behavior, and knowing the different categories of threat can help you avoid violent situations or recognize and report them before they occur. All these topics reside in my book, Creating a Bad Guy Free Zone, How the Average Citizen Can Protect Themselves. We have to change our paradigm about security and protection. The current model of holding law enforcement and security accountable for people's protection is not protecting people. The new standard should place accountability on you. Law enforcement, security, and protection professionals are great resources, and they try very hard. They're very diligent, very dedicated. But you have to run the gauntlet and emerge at the other end, prepared to take accountability for your protection, because the time for them to get to you is pretty long. Your strong protection begins with educating yourself, eliminating denial when it comes to being attacked violently. Only in this way can you rest assured you have a better chance of avoiding violence and a better chance of surviving a violent attack if it happens. Take charge of your personal protection and security. Don't wait until it happens to you or a loved one. It's really too late then. Heed Sun Tzu's advice. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Today, more than ever, as we are more divided and there are more and more demonstrations and more issues in America, you have to remember one thing. First, loving your neighbor and loving yourself, your God, and yourself and your neighbor is paramount to reducing threat and violence in our world. Short of that, a personal protection plan, reading my book, Creating a Personal Protection Plan, is an alternative That gives you a far better chance than if you do nothing at all or if you deny it. Don't deny the idea that you could be violently attacked. Be prepared in advance, and then be grateful when you're not. Be safe, be secure. This is Victor Vogel, badguyfreezone.com.